Greetings everyone, my name's Mark Whitethread. My role with Recognise is pre-sales and training, as you most probably know. In the time we will go through the setup and hopefully by the end you'll have a better understanding on how easy it can be setting up the Recognise equipment, okay? Hopefully you would have completed stage 1 prior to this, which would have been the configuration, all prepped, ready to go, ready for deployment. And as we go through the setup, I will endeavour to show you slides, thus enabling you to see what I am talking about and be recorded and uploaded to YouTube for anyone who couldn't attend. Now, I've done a presentation. I'm very happy for you to request a copy of the presentation after. It will help you because what I've done is I've put a lot of bullet points on the presentation, and it's always worth keeping the presentation and the video for you to use at a later date, okay? If I could ask you all to kindly mute your microphone through the call, we're going to do questions and answers at the end of the webinar. If you raise your hand, myself or Tony will come back to you and answer any questions that you want, okay? Right, let's begin. So, like I was saying, hopefully this is stage 2 deployment. So prior to this, you would have done stage 1, which was configuring, setup, confirming on cloud that you're getting a tamper, etc. So stage 2 is when you come on site, you're going to do the redeployment. You arrive on site, and the first thing I would always advise to people is just do a site evaluation. Whereabouts you're going to put the bridge, whereabouts you're going to put the detectors, okay? Now, as you know, our bridge is a communication hub, yeah? So everything will go through this. So treat it as any mobile network. The higher it goes, the better the mobile phone network, okay? But you have to take into considerations that you're going to have to sometimes do a battery refresh. So ladder height, I think is a good advice, yeah? And also, wherever you place the bridge, make sure that all of your detectors, siren, etc., are in direct line of sight, okay? So the bridge that I'm showing is the twin aerial 1, okay? Now the twin aerial 1, the 2.4 goes downwards, and you can always tell which one is the 2.4. You're going to have to excuse me. I'm going to take my background on because it's not very good. Right, yeah. So the 2.4, the aerial with 2.4 goes downwards, and the GSM aerial goes upwards. Now, with the single aerial, you can always tell which is the GSM because the actual bulk area here, okay? So the actual 2.4 will go down. Now, what I've done is on the presentation, I've set up a lot of pre-installation lists for you to do. It's just bullet points. Make sure everything's charged, to make sure everything's all ready to go, okay? Just the time zones, etc. So when you arrive, everything's prepped up, ready to go. Also, prior to you arriving, please make sure that you put the batteries into their standby mode, okay? Now, what you've got to realise with the actual detectors, if you have not put the batteries in standby mode and they are actually inserted properly, they will continue and install internally up to 2,000 images. So it's a recommendation when you've done stage 1, pop the batteries out, put the nut on the end and just pick that and in standby mode. That way you'll know that it's not going to continue doing what it's supposed to be doing at its job, yeah? It's not communicating with a bridge, okay? Now, on site, bridge, okay? I'm just going to make sure that you're actually seeing what I'm seeing, okay? So can you just confirm that you can see my presentation? Perfect, excellent. Okay, now, find a suitable place to install the bridge, okay? Like I said, as high as possible, but within reachable area that you can get to it as a ladder, because you're going to do a battery refresh, okay? The correct position of the bridge with a 2.4 downwards and the hexagon nut with your tool, okay? Okay, now what I would always do is with your bracket, mount the bracket up, place your bridge in, okay? And then screw the hexagon nut and then put your batteries in. Okay, so you position your bridge in a place that you find is a good area to put it in. It's up high enough to give you good GSM, but it's not too high that at a later day you might have to get to it to do a battery refresh. Okay. Now you would then obviously then take the nuts out, put the batteries in, ready to go. And then what I always would say to people, that's the point where you would then move on and start thinking where you're going to put your detectors, because your bridge is going to be setting up, it's going to be configuration, and it's going to be connecting to the cloud. Okay, so next side, you would get your tablet, okay, your remote, plug it in, and then you would scan looking for your bridge. Now, to me, this is a key point, because you've got one of two things going on here. If you're going to be using a second bridge, always do the second bridge next. Don't do it all together at once. But if you start finding that you're picking up other devices, that's when you know you potentially got another bit of equipment recognized in the proximity, and you are then have to make a decision. You might have to change the channel. Okay. So you're going to do a scan. In this time, you've obviously got the bridge. Okay. Okay. Tapping on the device. Okay. Now, what you would normally do here, if the bridge is up and running, you then would click onto the spanner, and that then populates the menu for the bridge. Okay. Now, if you look at the menu for the bridge, the main thing you're looking about is the mobile RSSI, okay, and the BER. Okay. The mobile RSSI tells you basically what strength your actually mobile GSM is. Now, I always say to people, no more than 87. Anything below 87 is where you're going to be in a good area. Yeah. Okay. So on this case, it's minus 75. Perfect. Okay. Your bit rate, the BER, that's pretty good. All the SIM details have been populated. You've got the correct server ID. You've got the correct APN. Brilliant. We're good to go. Okay. Now, at that point, if you find that you have another set up in that proximity, you would then get to a point where I might change the channel on this. Okay. Because if you've got another bridge or detector in the area, you're going to have to change it from default 22 to potentially another one. Potentially it says 26. Okay. So at that point, you can see down the bottom, you see radio channel. That's where you would change the radio channel on the bridge. Okay. It gives you the option to go from 11 to 26. The default is 22. Okay. Now, if you change it on the bridge, you will have to change it on anything you want connecting to that bridge. Detectors, siren, etc. Okay. So in this case, it's at 26. And it's exactly the same with the detector. When you populate the menu in the detector, you click this, you populate the area, the line for the detector, and in doing so, you populate the menu, and then down the bottom, you see you can change channel 26. But that's only if you really have anything in the proximity of the same area. Okay. Okay. Now, going back to the so what we were going to do is, when you're looking on that area, you'll see the actual channel that the actual particular bridge is on. In this case, it's 12 on the screen. And the green fan, what that tells you is the connection, basically. The red, in this case, is the actual Bluetooth connection between the bridge and the remote. Okay, so if you get closer to the actual unit, the actual fan will go from green, from red to green. Okay, so let's go to the bridge menu, and then let's go to the detector. So once you've configured the bridge, okay, and the bridge you're happy with, it's up and running, and you confirm that, we get to the detector, and you would then do exactly the same with the detector that you've done with the bridge. You put the batteries in. If you've if you find a place that you find which is good for you to put the detector, okay, and it's in an area where you want to cover, okay, proximity area, and it's your the bridge. Sorry, the detector is actually connected up, and it's all in the bracket. And what I would recommend you do is, rather than have the bridge, sorry, the detector pressing straight, you need to pitch it down. So they do recommend 12 degrees, but when you're on site, it's hard to find out which is 12 degrees. So what I'll do is I'll show you how to find out which is a good place and which is a bad place, okay? So we've got the actual detectors, they're all up and running, okay? You found out where you want to be with all the detectors, what you want to cover and protect, okay? And so this is correctly sited and installed detectors. Now, when your detector is connected to the tablet and you've highlighted your detector and you've gone to the next page, you'll be presented with like a thumbnail or a full image option. Okay, now when you do a thumbnail image, it will give you what this actual detector is looking at. Okay, if it's too high, too low, too left, too right. Okay, now the green lines are for the AIR, the red boxes are for the AI. Okay, now as you can see on these images, all of these are in a good place. Okay, if you go to the next one, you can see where all the detectors have been incorrectly positioned. We'll take the top left-hand side. It's been triggered by vehicles in the distance. So it's too high. The middle one, top, it's picking up on the public road in the distance. Obviously sliding door. And you go to the bottom one, picking up larger loads of vehicles. The one bottom middle is too high. And the bottom right hand side is too high and it's picking up foliage as well. So that's the key point. Your area needs to be sterile, if you can, of any foliage, trees, branches. And also, you have to take in consideration what's in the background, okay? If there's vehicles in the far distance, can you bring it down a little bit? Okay, so that's the key, okay? So what you would do is, on your detector, okay, so you've got a 35 optimization of this detector, 35 meters, okay? So if you're at sort of 12 degrees, 35 meters from this actual PIR, okay? Height-wise, 2.1 meters, that's the recommendation. So 2.1 meters is about 7 foot. So we recommend at 2.1 meters, okay? Tilting at 12 degrees, okay? So, detection zone. Obviously, at 35 meters, you're going to get 8 meters, 18 meters forward. 11 yards, 10 meters, you're going to get the difference. And it gets to the point where it gets to 5 meters, okay? So, 2.1 meters, pitch it down at 12 degrees. Obviously, because obviously you're going to have people coming underneath you otherwise. Yeah. Now, this is one of the key questions that people have been asking me. Direct line of sight. Now, we do have a system where if you don't get direct line of sight, it meshes. So in other words, one detector will mesh between another detector. We would rather recommend that you get your bridge and have direct line of sight between the bridge and the detector stroke the siren, okay? If you do that, you can get literally up to 500 meters, okay? So which is like 1,600 feet, etc. So it improves the battery life. That way you can have up to 8 detectors per bridge, okay? And we would recommend that you have direct line. On the odd occasions where you can't get direct line of sight, then you can use that as a mesh, okay? But we would always recommend that you do direct line of sight, okay? One of the key things you need to do. Now, false activations. Some of the things that can give you false activations. Moving objects in view, tree, okay. Check where detection zones are, okay. Are public, now this is a key one, are busy public areas in the detection area? In other words, have you got public right of way? Have you got a road in the background? Is there something that potentially it's going to give you false activations? Okay. Now, I'm going to go back. I'm just going to run over it again just to make sure these are pre-installations lists. Everything should be basically prepped up, ready to go. All your batteries, when you arrive on site, should be in the standby position transit. You find a good area to put your bridge, high enough that you can change the batteries because it's basically a 4G modem. Okay. Bridge installation, we've just gone through there. You would then power up your tablet with a remote, scan for your bridge. If you just find your bridge, you know that your area is totally sterile. You've only just got your bridge. You then go into the bridges menu. That way you would check to see that the bridge has got good mobile network. In this case, you've got mobile operator and it's mobile RSSI 75. If you find that you have to change the channel because you're setting up another bridge or potentially there's another bridge in the area, then the radio channel, you would change that from 22 default to 26, okay? Hopefully prior to you arriving, it should have all been done for you if you've got 2 bridges, yeah? But you can only have a maximum of 8 detectors per bridge, okay? Obviously, you do exactly the same when you're actually connecting your detectors up. You can change the channel on that, okay? Now, when all your system is up and running, this is a good thing that I would recommend you to do. It's called trace. Now, this is going to be one of your key points that if you find that you can't get direct line of sight, the trace, so basically you scan all your devices, you click on one of the devices, at the top right hand side, there are 3 little dots and click trace, okay? Trace then tells you how that particular detector or unit that you're looking at is connected. If it's got D to B, it's direct line of sight and it's connected, and that tells you on each side the connection level. If it's meshing through another one, it will go D to D, then to B, okay? So like I said, this is quite a key thing for you to remember because this will help you with your battery life. It will help you with your connection. And the lower the RSSI on the connection for the trace, the better it is between the actual detector, siren and bridge, okay? And that just, if you've got just D to B, that means it's directly connecting, direct line of sight. So normal setup's about, it's 100 meters, but direct line of sight is 500. Okay. So key bullet points you need to remember is pitching it at 12 degrees, 2.1 meters high. Detection zone, okay. That obviously you've got a lot going on with building sites, etc. Then you're going to have to sit back and think where's best to put the detector. Okay, 35 meters optimizes. Meshing. Now, if you mesh, only do that as a last resort. If you can get direct line of sight, then that will help with battery depletion and also help with connection as well. Check to minimize false activations. These are some key blind areas, public areas. Public areas is, I think, one of the most important ones that people have problems with. Tamper could be activated, but if you've got anything touching the actual fence that it's most probably mounted on, or a tree that it's mounted on, moving objects in view. And also on the presentation, what I've done to help you, there are some direct links for you to look on YouTube. So if you cut and paste or click on them links, it will give you a YouTube video that helps you and gives you an idea what I'm talking about. So I know what it's like. Once you're out on site, it's hard to remember, but if you've got a YouTube video that you've looked at a couple of times before, then you've got something to look at personally. Now, talking about the actual tablets, myself and my colleague Tony are starting to recommend that people use a dedicated tablet and not their mobile phone. And the reason being that we're having a lot of issues coming up where people can't find the actual equipment. And when they actually scan for detectors on the tablet, they're finding it. Problem with mobile phones, when you put the installation app onto a mobile phone, it starts configuring and starts clashing with a lot of the apps that are on there. And that's one of the things that we're starting to find. So when you turn up on site, make sure your tablet's got a data connection, you've got your remote, and you're all good to go. Okay. So, I mean, what I'm going to do is I will send out to all of you an invitation if you want this presentation. It's good to keep. So if you get 5 minutes peace and quiet, just run through it. It's got all the information I believe that you need and will help you make life a bit more easier for when you turn up. Okay. Mobile phone, RSSI, that's quite important. Server, APN. If you're going to change the channel, that's where it's going to be. Okay, same on the actual detector. If you change the channel on your detector and your bridge, you've obviously got to change the channel on the app as well. So if you go to app settings, change the default channel to the new one that you've changed it to, okay? Sirens, is that the same as the detector? Change the channel on the siren as well. You can check to see where the actual siren is activated by pressing the button. That should set off the siren. Trace, that's mega important. Do a load. If you load a picture on the detector, it will then show you what the actual detector is looking at. You can then pitch it up, pitch it down, left, right. So that's what your load will do. Yeah, load thumbnail, and then that will give the ability to see what your detector is looking at, or whether it's too high or just in a good place. Okay. And you can do that as many times as you want. That doesn't go to the cloud. That's just stored locally, yeah? Okay. That one's a good one, just to give you an idea what's good, what's bad. Okay. Obviously, this is all the dimensions, all the spec for the actual detectors. 2.1, 12 degrees, detection and mesh. Okay. And like I said, I've highlighted some direct links for you to go to YouTube. So is there anything anyone wants me to go over again? If you want to unmute. Right. Any questions and answers? Any questions, Jason?
No, I'll mostly just have to get a download because I've had a few phone calls come through and stuff, so I won't concentrate 100%. But yeah, so obviously if we get a copy of that would be the best thing to me.
Yeah, the key thing I would always say to people, when you arrive on site, you're going to look around and just do a recce. Where can I put the bridge? Can I put it high enough that I can access it? Detectors, where am I going to put the detectors? 2.1 meters up high, 12 degrees downwards. Is it going to be affected by anything in the distance, any foliage, any vehicles that are traveling in the background? Okay. Can I get direct line of sight? If I can get direct line of sight, it's going to give me increased battery length. If I've got a mesh, I only can do that really at the last result. Can I have option A, but only use it on option B? Okay. Detection rate 35 meters optimizes. Okay. Adam, any questions?
Yeah, just a quick one. So it's maximum of 8 detectors. What happens if you push it over that? Because I've got a site running 9.
So we can't. Myself and Tony will, who's on support as well. We can't really. I mean, can you answer this for me, Tony, please?
Because it's working fine with 9 cameras. It's
Yeah.
not. I'm just wondering if there's
So
any detriment.
one of the main reasons why we don't. Tony, can you answer that question for me? More than 8
Yeah.
detectors.
Hi, Adam. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Okay, so it's clear that if you put more than 8 detectors on, it will work, and you can and I've actually seen people do much more. The issue is we can't support if there's over 8 detectors and there's problems. What's going to happen? The first thing that's going to be asked is, is the firmware up to speed? If you've got over 8 detections and you're getting the odd detector drop off, and it can happen. You can, if the bridge is too busy, and it will drop a detector. It will drop the furthest one away.
Right.
There's not much we can do. We can't then. There's not much analysis we can do. If you've got a standard site, 8 detectors, and we then say you can have a siren and a bridge as well as the 8 detectors. They've made that quite clear. That means we've got the ability to look in and say, okay, we're looking down this channel here. This is where we're looking to see where the error is. If it's got more, it gives our support guys and the analysts in Tallinn more work, and they'll say, well, how can I do this? They're over 8 detectors. Yes,
Right.
it does work. I've had a guy, and he said, listen, I've got this weekend. It's only a weekend. I'm going to need to put 13 detectors on this bridge. And I was like, okay, I can't stop you doing that. It's not like the area won't allow you to put it in. I mean, he was lucky. He was lucky. It went through, and he got through his weekend. And I mean, the images were very slow coming through. And what it will mean is that if you're bottlenecking on your bridge, when it's going through to your arc might get that event a lot slower than they ought to. And then your responder that goes out is going to just look at a break-in and some tyre tracks where a flatbed's run off with all the copper. So yeah, we put it as best, we call it best practice.
Yeah.
We
That's
can't
cool.
we cannot tell you not to do it. I mean, we can advise.
I mean, the site started off as 7, and the customers become a building site, and they were like, "Oh, stick a couple more cameras on." Then we put them on, and then it was like, "Oh, and we pushed it over." But
yeah,
it is working okay. So
just
I mean,
adding,
Adam, if you have to do that, if there's no way round it, if there's no way round it at all, when you think, right, I'm up behind the 8 ball here, I've got to put more devices on. I haven't got another bridge with me. I've got a couple of detectors. I've got a site manager screaming. It's your contract. I know what site managers and QSs are like. They start screaming and stamping their feet. If you put them on, drop your image sizes down. Go around and just drop the thumbnails and drop your full images down a bit. If it's short term, but I mean, it's up to you. Explain to the site manager, look, I'm going over the limit here. If you want to buy another, if you want a bigger one, you've got to put another bridge on. Blah blah blah. And as soon as you start mentioning pounds and pennies to them, they can sometimes change their mind. But that's the two different things depending on what arc you're with as well. If you're with EMCS or you're with remote watch, some of these people that require 3 images per activation, you might want to, while you're doing it, drop that down to 2. Just take the less traffic through your bridge, the better. That's all I can say. I'm guessing there probably is some maths somewhere where you could work out what the image size is and what goes through the bridge and everything, and you could work out what you could potentially have safely. But we say 8 just to make things easier. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah. The other key thing is that me and Tony are recommending that people don't use their mobile phones with the installers app. I understand that sometimes it's cost effective, but like we were saying, there's just so many issues going on with apps on mobile phones nowadays, clashing with the actual remote. If you've got a dedicated tablet with the installers app on it, then you've got a good chance of having less issues that you can't find any of the detectors when you scan them as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Any other questions? Just out of curiosity, any hurdles that any of you have found? Any problems that you've come across? Anything?
No, the only issue we have is the bridge batteries.
Yeah.
So we could just do with some bigger capacity batteries getting released or something like that, just to lessen the pain a bit.
Yeah. The thing about the batteries is it is a communication hub as well.
Yeah.
That sort of piggybacks on top as well. If you've got 8 detectors, then you're going to get a better performance on the battery. But if you've got more than 8, there's 8, you know, potentially 10, 12, whatever, trying to connect, and it's going to obviously reflect on the battery life as well.
We pretty much every installation we do, we'll either put solar panel on the bridge or an extender, just to try and like lessen the burden a bit. But
image size as well, Adam. If you can bring your image size down to, you tend to find all brand new kit when it comes out of the box.
We're running everything at medium.
Perfect.
So,
perfect. When it comes out of the box, everything's set too high. You then got to normalize it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I drag it all down to medium. And then I think we got it set at 3 images, 1500 seconds apart.
Yeah. Perfect.
So yeah, we got it all set. I was just some of the bridges they just seem to drain a bit quick.
If you're getting constant a lot of images coming down, that will reflect. But if you've got a solar panel with a solar battery on the bridge, then obviously that should just keep it topped up all the time. Yeah.
Adam, just email me over just a couple of the sites that you're having particular problems with, because I do this quite a lot. If I get some spare time, I'll go onto a site, and I've just done one recently for another installer. And if there's anything that I can see from my side that might improve it, I don't change anything.
Yeah.
Just send us an email with a couple of your sites, and I'll have a look for you.
Yeah, will do. If we get any of that flag up, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Okay. Just piggybacking onto the correctly site that I've got on the screen. If you take that the actual green lines is your PIR detector, okay, and your red boxes are your AI, it's all about getting that right place for that detector. And if you do like a thumbnail image on the detector, then you can see what's good, what's bad, and then you can adjust it accordingly. Some people like to have a direct conversation with their command center where they're actually monitoring it on, and they say up a little bit, down a little bit. But me, I'm an advocate that if you actually, you know, embrace it and you're there, you know what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. Yeah. And that's why if you look at some of these images, you can see that, you know, bottom left-hand corner, you can see that it's a public road. Every time a car comes by, it's obviously going to trigger the AI and the PIR. So could it have done better? Me personally, I would have most probably sighted that complete opposite direction coming up there, stairways coming downwards. That's where I would have done it. So that would have brought it away from the actual road. Some of the places, obviously, some people, what they do, they accidentally put it too high. And this portal cabinets here, it's basically going to pick up all the trees in the background that's moving around. So that could come down. So it's just basically when you arrive, thinking, where could I put the detectors that's not going to affect anything of the PIR or the actual AI. And that will improve your battery life and stop the auto dismissed as well. Yeah. Right. Any other questions? Well, it's been nice meeting you. Like I said, I've done this presentation. You're very welcome to have a copy of it. Just let us know, and we can send you it out. And basically, it just gives you some ideas and something to look at that you can basically flip between. You know, it gives you everything from where you find things, scanning, RSSI, channels, etc. Yeah, it's a good tool, and it's there to help you ready for stage 3, which is going to be cloud, which is my my baby. That's my enjoyment one. Yeah, I like the cloud. So, okay, my friends, it's been wonderful meeting you. Reach out to us if you ever need us again on support. Send in a support ticket, support@recognise.com if you need anything. And always go to the cloud, top right-hand side. There's a help section. Click on it. Any questions, click on that. And there's a search engine. You can do anything that you want to know. Yeah, that I would highly recommend. Yeah. All the best.
Okay, thanks,
guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.